What's going on, Fight Family? So it is finally time to start talking about the fight of the decade that's coming up on September 13th between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Now, I know we still have a little over a month before the fight happens, but it's time to get on this one early because this is a major fight. So, I'm going to be breaking down the fighters, breaking down the fight, giving you all my prediction, and then as we continue to get closer to the fight, I'll be providing more evidence for why I am making the pick that I'm making for this fight. So let's first look at each individual fighter. Let's compare their stats to one another, and then let's break down Canelo and let's break down Bud. All right, so Canelo is 63 2-2. His two losses are to Floyd Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol. Terence Crawford is 41-0. This will be his first fight at 168 pounds. His last fight was at 154. He only had one fight at 154 pounds where he defeated Israel Madrimov for a title. And prior to that, he was at 147 for a while. So Terence Crawford has just been moving up in weight throughout the years. Um, but in recent years, he has had inactivity, which I will talk about when I break each fighter down. Canelo Alvarez, he's from Mexico. Terence Crawford is from the U.S., from Nebraska to be specific. Now, when they fight, Canelo Alvarez will be 35 years old and Terence Crawford will be 37 years old. So that's an important thing to keep in mind here because I do believe father time is a thing, but both fighters are getting up there, especially in boxing years. Now, Canelo, he's been at 168 pounds for a while. He did go up to 175 to fight Dimitri Bivol. After the loss, he dropped back down to 168. He is the unified champ at 168 pounds. Canelo is 5 feet 8 inches. Crawford is 5'8". It's saying here on Tapology, but I've seen other sources say he's actually 5'9". But we'll go off of what Tapology says, so we'll say 5'8" here. Canelo's reach is 70.5 inches. Terence Crawford's reach is 74 inches. So Bud has the 3.5 inch reach advantage. Now, let's talk about each individual fighter. So we know Canelo is orthodox, throws tremendous body shots, arguably the greatest Mexican boxer of all time. I know that's debatable. Definitely depends on what era you came up in because people are going to have different opinions on that. But regardless, Canelo is already solidified as an all-time great. So again, I said his record at the beginning was 63 2-2. So he's had 67 professional fights. I believe Canelo turned pro in Mexico when he was 15 years old. If I'm not mistaken, you all can fact check that. So yes, he has been a professional fighter for a very long time. Now, Canelo is, known for his aggressiveness. He's never been dropped. He's been hurt one time early in his career in a fight against, I believe it was Cotto's younger brother, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only time we've seen Canelo hurt, and he's fought the biggest punchers in boxing. He's fought Triple G 3 times. He's fought Sergey Kovalev. He's fought bigger guys and he's not been hurt. He's been able to take their shots, been able to take their power. So Canelo is looking to recent fights. He hasn't gotten a knockdown since he fought Caleb Plant. And that fight was, I believe, in 2021. So it's been some time since that fight. Let me check and see the date when that fight was specifically because that's also something to know here because a lot of people think, okay, well, Canelo is much bigger than Crawford. He's going to knock him out. I was guilty of thinking this initially as well. So when he fought Caleb Plant, that was in November 6, 2021. So it has been almost 4 years since Canelo Alvarez has gotten a knockout. And yes, he's fighting at 168, but he fought not Jamal, sorry. He fought Jamel Charlo, who moved up from 154 to 168. He dropped him, but that fight still ended up going to decision. Jamel Charlo didn't really come to fight. He was moving around the ring a lot, and he didn't engage. So when you're fighting somebody like that, yeah, it's going to be hard to knock them out. If they're coming in the ring just to survive, even after the fight, Jamel Charlo was like, at least I didn't get knocked out, which let everybody know, like, okay, you were just coming to survive. So Canelo has great head movement as well, but he's also been on record saying that he does not like to fight guys that move around a lot. So I would consider that a weakness of Canelo Alvarez because if you look at his two losses, it's guys that move, not run around the ring. Because if you watch that Floyd Mayweather fight, I actually just rewatched it. I've already seen him fight. I don't know how many times. Floyd Mayweather was coming to the center of the ring when Canelo would throw. Floyd would take steps back and come right back and engage. And then as the fight got on and Canelo started getting winded, Floyd would move around a little bit and then he's right back at the center. It was rare that Floyd Mayweather got on the ropes. Whereas when he fought Jamel Charlo was going into the ropes, wasn't countering or anything. And then when Canelo fought Bivol, same thing. Bivol established his presence, was at the center of the ring, throwing shots to back Canelo up, not because Canelo was hurt, but forcing him to fight off the back foot because Canelo Alvarez wants to come forward and he wants to punish you and beat you down. So that's why when he fights people like Edgar Berlanga and Jaime Munguia, he has such a high success rate because those guys don't move around a lot. They're there to essentially get hit. So that's my breakdown of Canelo. He's a bigger fighter here. He's going to be looking to land the body shots to slow Terence Crawford down, and he's going to be looking to throw that overhand right hand that is a devastating blow to take on. Now let's look at Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, pound for pound, arguably the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, or number two. A lot of people have Usyk right now at number one. I have Usyk right now at number one. Some people have Inoue at two, and then Bud at three, but a lot of people have Terence Crawford at number two. Usyk himself has said Terence Crawford is number one. All right, so we're looking at a generational talent here. So he's going up from 154 pounds to fight Canelo at 168 pounds. And something I want to note here. So when Canelo fought Floyd Mayweather, I believe Canelo was 23 years old. If I'm not mistaken, you all can fact check that. But on the day of the fight, Canelo weighed 165 and Floyd Mayweather weighed 150 pounds. So he outweighed Floyd Mayweather by 15 pounds on fight night. So keep that in mind because, the big thing with this fight is it's not skills. It's not that Crawford doesn't have the skills to beat Canelo. A lot of people are saying that Crawford is too small. I was guilty of this as well until I did some deeper digging into the numbers and into the stats. So how Floyd Mayweather defeated Canelo, he came to the center of the ring, was using the jab effectively, making Canelo fight off the back foot, and he was working the stab jab to the body, and he was countering. Those counter punches on Canelo are very, very effective. Where a lot of guys will shell up, let Canelo get his punches off, and then they move without throwing in between the shots. So I think it's going to be important for Bud. And, the good thing that Bud has is he can switch stances. So he can see what's working out of either the orthodox or the southpaw stance, which is what he typically does when he's downloading data the first 3 to 4 rounds. And he's figuring out, okay, this works. And then from round three on, he'll probably stay in that stance for the rest of the fight, whichever one he feels is most effective. Or he may switch throughout the fight. But I know in the Madrimal fight, he fought that fight a lot out of that southpaw stance because he wanted to negate the jab of Madrimal. Madrimal was a tricky opponent, had a lot of movement, and Terence Crawford was able to negate a lot of the offensive attack that Madrimal wanted to have on him. Now, Terence Crawford, he's the type of fighter where once you start throwing shots, he's going to become more and more and more aggressive because his ring IQ is so high. And he's looking at your tendencies all while you're in the ring, and he's downloading that data to use throughout the fight. So he's somebody that can adjust very well during the fight. He doesn't have one set speed. Not saying that Canelo does, but I think Terence Crawford has the highest ring IQ in boxing. Now, to add on to that, Crawford, his jab is very effective, and I think it's very underrated. Now, my pick for this fight is Terence Crawford to win the fight by decision. I think although he's smaller, I think people are underestimating his strength. I believe Terence Crawford is stronger than Canelo Alvarez. Yes, I think the night of the fight, yeah, Canelo will outweigh him, but again, I don't think it will be a larger disparity than how Canelo outweighed Floyd Mayweather. Because I'm sure once Crawford rehydrates, it probably won't be anything crazy since he's fighting at 168. He probably won't go up too much in weight after that, I'm assuming. Because the mistake that Jamel Charlo made outside of not wanting to fight, Derek James didn't want him to rehydrate up to too much because that was his first fight at 168. And I think he came in the day of the fight like 12 pounds over 168. So he was like 180 pounds. Well, in order to beat Canelo, you're going to need speed. And I definitely think Crawford has a speed advantage, but we haven't seen Crawford at 168. So I think the closer he is to 168 when he rehydrates, the better that's going to be for him because that speed is going to allow his timing to be effective, and the punches that hurt the most are the punches that you don't see coming. And during the Pierce Morgan interview that Canelo and Crawford had, Crawford stated like it's not about who punches harder. It's about who has the timing, the better timing. And Crawford, in most of his fights, I mean, prior to the Madrimov fight, the last decision that he had before the Madrimov decision was July 23rd, 2016. So it's been 9 years since, well, no, not 9 years, I'm sorry, because he fought Madrimov in 2024. So it had been 8 years since Terence Crawford had a decision in a fight. So he's knocking guys out. Canelo's last knockout was when he fought Caleb Plant in 2021. So I think that's also important to know. I don't see any way Canelo is knocking Terence Crawford out. He doesn't knock people out anymore. And father time is a thing for both of these fighters. Yeah, Crawford is older, but Canelo Alvarez is not a spring chicken either. He's 35 years old and he's been a professional since he was like 15 years old. So we're seeing him slow down in fights. Like his last fight against William Skull, who was not even like somebody that's William Skull. I mean, salute to him. Not to take anything away from him, but William Skull is not anybody to like. Oh, he beat William Skull. Canelo Alvarez threw 56 total punches in a 12-round fight. Like, yes, William Skull was just moving around, staying along the ropes, not trying to engage at all. So, yeah, it's very hard to fight somebody like that. But Canelo Alvarez knows how to cut down the ring. So, like, why are you not going to get him? Is it because, you have the Terence Crawford fight coming up? You got this fight, like, sealed in the bag. It just didn't make sense. So, it's leading me to think that Canelo can't move anymore because his opponents before William Skull, Edgar Berlanga, we saw what just happened to him against Shiraz. He got destroyed. And then Munguia was before that. And Munguia, his fight after Canelo, it was one in Mexico. And he got knocked out. Yes, he got the rematch back and beat the guy. But then he tested positive for PD. So I don't even know what they're going to do about that last victory. I mean, I would imagine they're going to take it away and just say no contest because you tested positive for a banned substance. So these guys are standing in front of Canelo. And then, so Edgar Berlanga, his next fight, he fought a bum, a guy that had been out of the ring for a long time. Then he comes to fight Hamza Shiraz, a well-respected opponent, gets knocked out. Jaime Munguia, his fight following Canelo Alvarez, the very next fight, he gets knocked out. But Canelo is not knocking these guys out. So I think we have to get away from Canelo is going to knock Bud out because he's a smaller fighter. Canelo Alvarez did not knock Jermell Charlo out, and I think Terence Crawford is a better fighter than Jermell Charlo. And I think he's stronger. I think we're really underestimating the strength of Terence Crawford, and I know it's a completely different martial art, but Terence Crawford also cross trained, so he has a wrestling background, which I think is going to play a factor when they get into the clinch and when he's looking to work inside on Canelo. Now, the keys to victory for Terence Crawford, he has to counter, he has to meet Canelo in the center of the ring. That does not mean exchange with him. That means be first in the jab and use that footwork like Floyd did to get out of there when Canelo throws. Because a lot of the punches Terence Crawford will see coming, he can just use his feet to escape. Or, which what I think is going to start happening, he's going to start timing Canelo and throwing in between the shots of Canelo when Canelo loads up on that left hook, that lead left hook. I think Bud is going to counter that. And like I said earlier, the punches that hurt the most are the punches that you do not see coming. So let's look at the odds for this fight. So you all know my pick. I'm taking Terence Crawford on the money line. I was going to say Terence Crawford by decision, because I don't see Canelo Alvarez getting knocked out. But again, Terence Crawford, he's proved me wrong multiple times. So I kind of learned my lesson that, Terence Crawford is the best fighter in the world right now. I mean, Usyk is number one, but if Terence Crawford beats Canelo, Terence Crawford goes to number one, and he goes to top three all time. Because I already think he's a top guy all time for everything he's already accomplished in his career. And then he's looking to be great now. He's daring to be great. He's going up to 168 to fight Canelo Alvarez, and he's 37 years old. Now, yeah, I know there are old interviews where Crawford saying, Canelo's too big before this fight was even a thought. But I just find it funny that before Crawford and Spence fought, people were saying that, okay, Spence and Crawford are going to fight, and then Spence will move up in weight and he'll eventually have a showdown with 168. Nobody was saying Spence was too small. And then we see them fight. We see Crawford is stronger than Spence. And Errol Spence is my favorite fighter, so this is no disrespect to him. But we see when he tries to push Crawford, Crawford just stands there kind of like, looks like, and then just knocks him back. So we see that he's stronger than Spence. But then at the time, people were saying Spence and Canelo are going to have a showdown at 168. Like, it doesn't make sense. And then I'm sure you all have seen Crawford's physique right now, and they've been posting training clips. Crawford is massive, but he still is able to move. You can see the clips of him shadow boxing with the weight vest on a slip rope, and he still has his movement. I think that's going to be a major key right there, is him keeping that movement, like counter Canelo, move around, be able to get out when Canelo throws and come back and counter him. And I think as the fight goes on, initially I was like, I don't know how Bud is going to deal with that weight in the later rounds, but I think Canelo is going to be the one that slows down, because we've seen Canelo slow down in later rounds for a majority of his career. Then when he didn't slow down in the later rounds, we know what happened. I don't need to go into specifics, but if you know the history of Canelo and how he stopped having them problems getting tired after 6 rounds, if you know, you know. But with that being said, all right, so we got the fight. It's on Netflix. Canelo's obviously the favorite. Canelo Alvarez is minus 205. Terence Crawford is plus 158. That's on the money line. Now, method of victory, Canelo by points or decision is plus 105. Canelo by KO or TKO is plus 350. So bettors don't think he's knocking Terence Crawford out either. Draw is plus 1500. Terence Crawford on points or decision is plus 210. Terence Crawford by KO or TKO is plus 900. Again, like, I just want to bet the money line, but that Terence Crawford by points or decision for arguably the best boxer in the world plus 210, that's enticing, because I don't think he's going to knock Canelo out, but it's boxing, anything can happen. But for sure, Crawford money line. You can book that, and I'll let y'all know when I put it in. I'm gonna see how the odds change as the fight gets closer. Will the fight go to distance? Yes, it's minus 370. No, it's plus 260. I love for that fight to go to distance. Neither of these guys have been knocked down or dropped, and I think that's going to stay the same in this fight. And then total rounds. So FanDuel is kind of weird. It has over 11 and a half. My app Hard Rock does over 10 and a half, but over 11 and a half, which I think will hit, is minus 400. Under 11 and a half is plus 280. So the bet that I'm going big on is for the total rounds in the fight. But I'm gonna do over 10 and a half because that's what the Hard Rock app has, and the fight to go the distance. But I'm for sure going big on over 10 and a half, and then I'll bet to go the distance. Maybe, I'm not sure, but then I'm betting on Terence Crawford. I don't know if that's going to be a big bet yet. We're going to see how August goes for me with the fights coming up. I know it's a pro box card on the 15th that I'm looking to go kind of heavy on. So if I have a good month in August, I'm probably going to take, Terence Crawford pretty heavy because this is an opportunity you don't get for a generational talent. Now, on the other hand, Canelo Alvarez is a beast. Canelo Alvarez is the real deal. This is no disrespect to him, but I think a lot of people are underestimating Bud as he's been underestimated time and time again throughout his career. Oh, and I also want to bring up, I forgot to address the reach. So you got Canelo with a 3.5 reach disadvantage. So the last person so Canelo won the fight against Erislandy Lara, but it was controversial. I personally think Canelo Alvarez lost that fight. Erislandy Lara, Cuban style, southpaw, has similar reach to Terence Crawford. I think he has Bud's is, let's see, Terence Crawford's reach is 74 inches. I think Lara's was like 74.5 or 75. They're the same height, and Canelo struggled with him because Erislandy Lara moved and he boxed very well. Now, the only difference I see where Bud can secure the victory is Bud is going to engage more and he's going to be counterpunching. Because a lot in that fight, Erislandy Lara was first, which I think Bud, since he'll have the speed advantage, he's going to be first. He's going to hit, get out when necessary, but then he's going to keep applying pressure so that way it's going to wear Canelo down. And I know this is a very bold take. Trust me, I completely understand, but I just think Terence Crawford can get it done, and he sees things which he stated in the past in Canelo that he can capitalize on. Oh yeah, so Erislandy Lara, he's 5'9", his reach is 74 inches. Same exact reach as Bud, fighting out of southpaw. And I think fighting out of the southpaw stand is going to be a key to victory for Bud, but we know he'll fill it out during the fight to see which one is better and which one he'll have more success with. All right, so let me know your fight prediction down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Hey, this is not a Canelo hate video. I know some people will take it that way, but I'm looking to start getting commentary going surrounding the fight. As we get closer to the fight date, there will be more videos coming out as we get closer to the fight. But my prediction is Terence Crawford by decision, the fight to go the distance, and the fight to go over 10.5 rounds. All right, catch you on the next video. Peace.